All right, so hi everyone, I'm Alek, this is Łukasz. We're both software mention engineers working on the Expo SDK platform. And today we're excited to share just a few of our recent releases, some of new features, experiments, and a few future plans for the framework itself. The first thing we wanted to talk about, kicking off Expo file system. I'm glad to announce that it's finally stable. We're dropping the next suffix. And actually in Expo SDK 54, we promoted the new file system to be the default Expo file system export. The old legacy, now the legacy API is still supported, available if needed under the legacy entry point. The new API is built from the ground up to be as easy to use as possible, heavily inspired by WinterCG and BUN. Shared objects, which is an Expo module's core feature, make it object-oriented, which in turn makes it significantly easier to identify which functions and properties are applicable for files and directories, making the entire API easier to use. The new module supports both synchronous and asynchronous methods for file access, plus a host of secondary properties and methods to streamline common use cases across common, popular React Native applications. These include readable, writable streams, and we also surface native file handle APIs for file seeking and parsing straight on the JavaScript layer. We've also shipped integrations with Expo Fetch, and the file class is implementing the blob interface directly. This all enables cross-compatibility with several other Expo SDK libraries, community packages, and more. We've also built in storage access framework support on Android, which required a significant overhaul of the way we approached handling files in the old module. But I'm happy to announce that most of file system methods work straight under the regular namespace. There's no longer a separate namespace for handling storage access framework. We also enable working with native assets, and we've also shipped iOS file and directory pickers, as well as Android storage access framework pickers for files and directories, straight in Expo file system itself.
We know that the file system is a very important module. And we have a lot of ideas how we can improve it even further. But before we get to any of that, there is one missing piece. We are lacking a way to share binary large object between packages. And that's why we created Expo Blob. You can say we already have support for blob in React Native. And yes, that's true, but our implementation closely follows the official standard. And we are very confident in that because we borrow some tests from web standard to ensure everything is working correctly. You can check out the documentation and explore how Expo Blob is working. The package was released as a part of SDK 54. It is a building block, so we can expect in the future some integration with file system, Expo Fetch, and probably many other libraries.
Next, let's talk about Expo UI. Expo UI ships a set of native platform components written with customizability and composability in mind. Now, it's not a true cross-platform module, with different APIs on iOS and Android by design. We want to enable React Native devs to ship true platform feel for even the most complex and modern of components with actually no analogs on the second platform. We already shipped a rich set of components and modifiers to unlock a number of features that just weren't possible without using native modules previously. In SDK 54, we promoted Expo UI on iOS to beta. We've also implemented a host of improvements to Expo UI on Android, including shape components, custom button shapes and clip masks, modifiers, including modifier scopes, and a wide range of components, including a few community contributions. We hope to promote Expo UI on Android to beta, starting SDK 55. We're also proud of improvements shipped by Expo and software mention engineers to better support developers building on MetaQuest. In SDK 54, we shipped Expo Go to the MetaQuest store, enabling developers to build rich native experiences for Meta's latest VR devices using familiar React Native tools and APIs. Software mention is also working on bringing support That's actually.
It's
As Dr. mentioned, it's also working on bringing support for improved continuous native generation and enabling the use of all Expo modules on MetaQuest. And we'll have more details to share on that soon.
Let's talk a little bit what is coming next. In this cycle, we are planning to improve several of our packages, starting with Expo Media Library next. Our goal is to release it as a part of SDK 55. You might be wondering what is wrong with the current implementation. That's a fair question, and to be honest, there is nothing fundamentally broken with the current implementation. It has been working for a long time across multiple SDKs. It survived a lot of changes on iOS and Android related to permissions. So at that point, the code on the native side is a little bit messy. We are planning to spend some time to clean that up, and we are also want to provide you a better API, one that is more object-oriented instead of C-style API used by the current version. You can expect the same set of functionality that are in Media Library today, but with refreshed and cleaner API. On the slide, you can see how you can create asset from a local file. You can obviously display it using React Native image or Expo image. Also, you can create album with local assets. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. And that is my favorite addition. So we are introducing a new query method to get assets from the camera roll. You will have access to the query object, query builder, and you can, for instance, limit the number of results, specify the album in which you want to search for the assets, do some filtering. For instance, I just want to return only images. You can sort the results on the native side, and at the end, you can execute the query and get your assets. I said that package will come out as a part of SDK 55, but actually that's not true. Right now we can go to our documentation and check out the new API. And I believe we even released it as a canary last week. So yes, technically you can try it out today. However, the official release will come as a part of next SDK. I encourage you to check the documentation, check the API, and if you have any suggestion or feedback, let us know. We know that some libraries in Expo deserve more love. And that's why during that cycle, we are focusing on revamping some of them. Currently, we are working on 2 packages, on Expo Calendar and Expo Contacts. I don't have much to show you today about those packages, since those projects are still in early stage. But I do have some sneak peeks. So on the slide, you can see a type declaration of Expo Calendar module. And on the next slide, you can see how updating contacts will look like.
We have a project in the works that I'm pretty excited about, and I'm very happy to share a quick sneak peek here. We're thinking of a new way to include native code in Expo projects. We call it, after a collective brainstorm on naming, inline modules. This experiment enables you to drop native Swift and Kotlin files using the familiar Expo modules DSL straight into your Expo router or plain React Native file structure. These files are then typed for imports and resolved by Metro. We have future plans to bring on additional enhancements like full static type generation for props and methods to improve this experience further. These files are also easily editable using Xcode and Android Studio, so no more searching through development pods. We want to make it really easy to drop down to platform code with full comfort of the native development experience.
Expo Modules API is great, and I know I can be a little bit biased on that, but you can actually achieve a lot of nice things using it. But there is one case when the API doesn't work. When used with worklets. Right now, you cannot call function from Expo modules inside of worklet body. If you need that kind of interaction, you will have to go with turbo modules or other module system. I'm happy to say that we are working on this problem. In that cycle, we are planning to add some support for worklets. But it's still very, very early and very experimental, so it may not even land. So I cannot promise you anything. But I just want to say that it is something that we are exploring. And yeah, but you may ask me why it is important. So let me explain. Let's say that you want to pause a video player when user press the button. On the slide, you can see how that interaction may look like when implemented with gesture handler. So we have the user interaction on the main thread. Then we can trigger the gesture handler callback on the same thread because it is powered by worklets. And then we have to do a weird thing because we cannot execute a pause method from video player because that object lives inside of the main thread. Inside of your main runtime, JS thread, a lot of threads, too many threads, to be honest. So you have to jump to JS thread. Then the only thing that is happening on the JS thread, the video player is scheduling a new method on the main thread because pausing a movie is a UI operation. It has to be done on the UI. So we have to come back to the main thread. That jumping between threads introducing a delay that may be noticed by your users. That could be simplified when we have the integration with worklets. Everything could be executed on the main thread directly. It won't be slower because the video player needs to be executed on the main thread. So actually, it will be faster. We are not going to jump the main thread, even if it can look like it. So that's only one use case for that. We have some other use cases in mind. For instance, it will be nice to play with haptics on the main thread directly. Also, it can be useful for background processing. Let's assume you want to process a lot of files. And yeah, so you create a custom worklet runtime to offload it. It would be nice to have file system there. It will be much easier. You don't have to create weird hacks or weird communication pipelines to get content from the file. So that's something we are working on, but how I said, I cannot promise you anything. And that's all that we want to share with you today. And I think we have some time for questions.
A lot of time for questions, actually.
I know, we did a speed run, but it's okay.
Questions? Holy moly, we do have React Conf at home. So good. Maybe some questions? QA session for guys? Nothing. Really nothing.
Cool.
Okay, that's all, guys.
Thank you.